I'm here at the Nordic Film Days in Lübeck, and my guest today is Kristione Kujath Thorp. You're here with two films, The Great Silence and Sick of Myself, but let's start our little talk with another film that I absolutely adore. When I saw NINJABABY last year at the Edinburgh International Film Festival, and again here in Lübeck, I was completely blown away, especially by the way the characters were drawn. It felt so real, so grounded. So was that maybe what attracted you to that role?
Yes, partly. I mean, when I read the script for NINJABABY, I completely fell in love. It's a very, I don't know, it feels very real, and it's so kind of liberating in a way. And it's funny, and it's heartwarming, and it's also really sad. And I think that it's a film that a lot of people can see themselves in, even though they haven't been in the same situation as Raquel. It's still very common ground, or the feelings she goes through, especially as a young person. It's very, I think it's very relatable, her whole process.
And for our viewers who are not able to see the film, because it's not out here in Germany
No.
right now, I'm still waiting to the distributor to publish it. So what's the story behind it?
The story is about this young girl called Raquel, who lives her best life in Oslo and enjoys the freedom and fucking around and partying and doing all this shit. And then suddenly she figures out that she's pregnant, and she's, I think, 6 months ahead, or maybe more, I can't remember right now, but it's impossible to get an abortion, and she has to give birth to this baby and trying to figure out what she's gonna do, because this is the worst thing that could ever happen to her. Yeah.
Do you remember your first reaction when you were aware that you got that role?
I was extremely happy, because this was, NINJABABY was my first feature, and I thought I had this curse, because I've been working as an actress for a long time and been doing a hell of a lot of shorts and also TV, but I was never given the opportunity to do a feature. And then Ingvild, the director, called me and said that I got the part, and I was like, no, is it true, oh my God. And also like a feature film, but also that my first feature would be such an interesting part and sort of a dream for an actor to dig into her head. And it was just so much to take from her, or to work with. So I was extremely happy. I cried, and
When I spoke to director Ingvild Sveflicke last year here in Lübeck, she was praising you and was telling me how thankful she was that she found you.
Yeah.
And you said in another interview that you had some kind of imposter syndrome when starting filming. How did that happen?
Well, I didn't really believe that it was true, and I thought that I think at least 1 week into filming that she would take me to the side and say, like, Kristine, I'm sorry, but this doesn't work. We think you're horrible, and we think you're such a bad actress, so you're out of here. So I was always waiting for that rejection, because I've had that so much during my life through work, and I just felt that I wasn't good enough, or I was scared that they would see me for who I really was, or
I think you're more than good enough.
Thank you.
That. So let's move on to the next film, The Great Silence, which I just saw yesterday. It's directed by Katrine Brooks, and where you play a nun in a convent. What's the story about that film?
It's about a nun in a convent, as you said, that's about to give her final vows, and then her brother shows up, which is she hasn't seen in, I think, almost 10 years, and this brings up a lot of a trauma they share together, and it's about the relationship between the two siblings and dealing with the trauma in different ways. Yeah.
Would that ever be an option for you to go into a convent?
Oh, I don't think so. No.
I mean, me neither. So.
I love my life as it is. I don't think I want to say goodbye to worldly love and alcohol and I don't know my normal life.
Did you visit a convent beforehand, or did you talk to some nuns?
Yes, we had a lot of meetings with nuns, and also visited a convent in Denmark, and I found a convent in Oslo as well, and did a lot of research and interviews with the nuns living there. Yeah.
Your character doesn't speak that much in the film, so how hard or maybe how easy was it to almost completely rely on body language, facial expressions and gaze?
Extremely hard, because I'm very, I would say that Raquel in NINJABABY is much more me. You know, I use a lot of gestures and I speak very freely and a lot about emotions and all of that. And this was the complete opposite and very far from myself. So yeah, I had to really concentrate to not do that much, like to really rely on that, the cinematography and the script in itself did a lot of the work. Yeah.
You did a brilliant job, I have to say.
Thank you.
The third film I'd like to talk about is Sick of Myself, which is the complete opposite of the other film.
Yes.
It's directed by Christopher Borkley, and you're playing senior, narcissistic young woman who is craving for attention.
Yes.
Can you give us a brief look into the film?
Well, that's about this super narcissistic woman who's in a relationship with an equally, I would say, narcissistic man, and they have a very toxic relationship, always trying to get the most attention. And when he gets very great success with his art, she gets extremely jealous and goes to extreme lengths to top that.
Absolutely. The further the film goes along, the more your body, especially your face, let's say, changes.
Yes.
I've seen a video on your Instagram account where you've fitted with a prosthetic mask. How much time did that take, and how many times did you have to go through that process?
Well, during shooting, it was maximum 7 hours of the prosthetic work, and we also, we did a lot of tests before shooting because everything had to be on schedule. It's usually quite stressful to be on a film set. So I think the worst looks that I have, or the most time-consuming looks, was probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 times I had to do that. And that was the worst part, the longest, but there was also, from 3 to 7 hours almost every day, yeah.
I've never witnessed or seen a person who would hurt themselves that much just to get attention. Did you do any research beforehand, and what did you find out, if so?
Well, I felt with this, I always work differently with the parts, like in The Great Silence, we did a lot of research because it was something very specific location that I didn't know anything about, and a way of life. But in this one, there's been a lot of questions about if she has, oh my God, what is it called? Psychological illness. But I don't like putting, what is the English word? Giving my characters mental illnesses, because I feel that it's limiting my work, because then I get obsessed and like studying what is this and what it's not, and I don't believe that she herself knows what's wrong with her, so then I rather not. I just want to get to know her as a person, what her life has been, and who her friends are, and sort of what drove her into this. So we did a lot of, not research on that kind of person, but we did a lot of work on trying to figure out how her mind worked, because it's really hard to figure out how it's possible to go to those extremes. And yeah, just she has a very fascinating mind. She plays a part in her own life all the time, so it's, as an actor, it's very hard to figure out also when she's lying, when she's not, when are you genuine. And I remember being on set doing a scene and believing as Signe in what I was saying, and then I see the film and I was like, she's totally lying. So I was completely, you know, yeah, really confused in the whole character during the whole shooting. And I believe that she is as well, that it's hard for her to figure out what is real and what is not, because she's so used to staying in character.
So you haven't been told beforehand what's real and what's not?
Well, yeah, like, I mean, the major steps in it is, I of course knew, but there's nuances in, you know, sometimes she starts crying, and sometimes she's like pretending to be, you know, hurt, or, I mean, it's more the emotional stuff, and also the way she says things. Does she know that what she says is a lie? And it's very confusing, but very, very interesting to dig into. Yeah.
I think that's a good way to do it, because as a viewer, I sometimes also didn't know, is it real? Is she just faking it? Is she just lying?
Yeah.
So I liked it very much.
Yeah.
All these characters that we talked about, they couldn't be more apart from each other. But you absolutely shine in all of these films. But do you have the same approach to these roles, or is it always a different process?
Yeah, it's always a different process, but I tend to use the same techniques over and over again, which I actually developed with the director of The Great Silence, Katrine Brox, which I've known for at least 10 years, and we've been working together a lot. So I do a lot of improvisation by myself, just turn on a camera and ask myself random questions and improvise the answer without knowing what's coming through my own, coming out. And usually it's a lot of shit that I can't use for anything, but sometimes it's, I get to try out a lot of the character and without knowing a lot about them. And I find that very helpful, just living with them by myself, not being scared of impressing someone with it, but just keeping it to myself and then talk about it. Yeah.
I've noticed that The Great Silence is a Danish film and Sikke of Marseille is from Norway.
Yes.
And for me as a German, it's not so easy to distinguish these two languages. But are you fluent in both of them, or?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I've been living in Denmark for 11 years, so I speak Danish and obviously Norwegian. But I have a dialect in Danish. But I'm working on it, and someday I will.
And are these languages quite similar?
The words are almost the same, but the pronunciation is extremely different, and a lot of Norwegian and Danish people have problems understanding each other.
Okay.
The Danish language is, it's very weird in the mouth.
You also have a degree as a production designer.
Yeah.
How did that come apart?
Well, I started acting in an amateur group in my part of town in Oslo when I was a kid, and I went to this acting gymnasium, and when I was done there, I felt completely done with acting. I thought it was stupid, and I didn't get anything. I wasn't happy doing it, so I went to European Film College in Ebeltoft in Denmark to study film from behind the camera, because I knew that I always wanted to do films, and I found production designing extremely interesting and fun, and I've been doing production design, or working with my hands and making art and building stuff ever since I was a kid. So I started at the Royal Danish Design School, studying production design, working at the same time at the Danish Film School, where I met Katrine Brox, the director of The Great Silence. And then I sort of, I kind of missed acting, and I started saying at all the production that I was working on as a production designer, I was like, I'm actually also an actress, so maybe I could try out for this part. And yeah, and then it just became more and more, and now I only do acting.
Luckily for us. So, as you said, you like to work behind the camera.
Yeah.
Would directing be an option for you at some point?
When I was younger, I made a couple of shorts, but I think it's extremely hard to direct other actors, because, I don't know, I find it very hard to talk about it in a way that others can understand. And I'm always like talking about emotions, and while you're directing, you have so many hats on you, or you have to know so much about everything, and I like it to be more narrowed. But if I'm thinking about making animation, I would love that. I also illustrate and write children's books. So.
Oh yeah, NINJABABY was based on it.
Yeah, not mine, but yeah. But I was drawing in NINJABABY for real, so yeah,
oh,
I
really?
can relate to that, yeah.
Let's wrap up our little talk with a look into the future. What are you currently working on, or what can we expect to see next?
I just wrapped in Berlin, actually on Tuesday, a new Danish film called The Bastard right now by Nikolai Arcel. It's a period piece, which is, I don't know what more I can say about it, but it's going to be extremely good. It's with Amanda Collin, Mads Mikkelsen, Gustav Lind, Morten Hee.
Wow.
Yeah, it's extremely cool, and it's always been a dream of mine to do a period piece, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? What's coming up next?
Well, next year, now I need to have a small break because it's been so much this year, and I'm just really, I don't know what's gonna be next. I have a lot of pending projects for next year that I can't talk about, but it's gonna be interesting either way, yeah.
I'm looking forward to everything that's coming our way. Can't wait to see more work of you. And you're about to drive home right now. You have to catch your train.
Yeah.
So have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and good luck with the film and with all that's coming up.
Thanks.
Thank you. Lovely.
Lovely. Okay. Thank you so much. It was nice talking to you.